Revealed. The incredible moment my daughter's hidden action transformed our family meal forever. Mary eyed the overflowing sink, filled with dishes from last night's dinner, a mental to-do list racing in her mind. Juggling 2 jobs as a waitress, then at a retail store, she felt the weight of 1,000 responsibilities anchoring her down. The sound of Lily's footsteps echoed from the hallway, adding to the copious pressure in the small, cozy kitchen. Facing the formidable task of preparing another family meal, she braced herself for the usual tension that seemed to hang in the air like a storm cloud. "Dinner in 10," she called, her voice clipped, aware of time slipping through her fingers. Each moment spent cooking was a reminder of her sacrifices. She had given up her own dreams of culinary school to provide her daughter with stability, but as she mixed the meatloaf with well-practiced motions, unease curled in her stomach. Would Lily ever really understand the lengths Mary went to just to ensure they never knew the poverty she had experienced? Today was particularly charged. Their relationship felt as frayed as the tablecloth, every interaction layered with the unspoken. Mary set the meatloaf into the oven, her heart heavy as she sensed the disconnection lingering between them. Lily always withdrew into herself, and Mary feared that her daughter would waste her potential while she, too, felt like she was suspended in limbo. She knew they needed to talk, yet every attempt thus far had spiraled into awkward confrontations. Determined to break that pattern, Lily had been plotting something under the radar. Each penny saved from her part-time job had slipped quietly into her pocket, a hidden safety net to gather fresh ingredients from local farmers. As Mary prepared the familiar meatloaf, oblivious to her daughter's nocturnal plans, Lily brewed a storm of emotion in the silence of her own thoughts. A deep longing for acknowledgement churned inside her, battling against the fear of disappointing her mother. The dichotomy threatened to consume her. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Mary set the table for another mundane dinner, Lily's heart raced. Tonight, she would unveil her secret, revealing a special dish that blended heritage and passion. The vibrant colors of her pasta looked surreal against the drabness of their usual meals. Steaming plates filled with memories and unspoken aspirations lined the table, and as Mary pulled the meatloaf out of the oven, she felt a wave of confusion fill the kitchen. "What is this?" Mary gasped, staring at the unexpected plate before her. Her mind was a whirlpool of disbelief and nostalgia, but she felt a tightening in her chest. This wasn't meatloaf. This was an extension of Lily's unvoiced desires. But the silence that stretched between them was unbearable, poised on the brink of revelation and dread. As the tension mounted, Mary's instinct was to dig her heels in, to uphold the traditions she had fought to sustain. Yet she sensed the precarious balance of their relationship teetering on this precipice. What if honoring Lily's passion meant abandoning the very stability Mary had sacrificed so much for? The question loomed larger with every heartbeat, leaving both women glaring down paths that could change everything. A painful truth unfolding, as they both faced the untamed complexity of dreams long silenced. With a hesitant breath, Mary's gaze flicked between the vibrant pasta and her daughter's hopeful expression. The heat from the oven faded into the background, time stretching taut as she battled the tumult of emotions whirling within her. Each steaming plate beckoned for acknowledgement, demanding her to pay tribute to the effort and creativity that Lily had poured into the dish. "What made you choose this?" The question emerged, unbidden, from her tightly clenched throat. She braced for a response as she weighed the prospect of embracing change against the fear of dismantling their established routine. Each moment felt significant, like standing on the edge of a precipice, the vast unknown beckoning beneath. "I worked extra shifts to buy the ingredients." Lily's voice trembled, a raw honesty lacing her words. "I wanted to share something I love with you." Mary's breath caught, the gravity of her daughter's sacrifice filling the space between them. The unknowns felt more pronounced, a weight pressing on her chest. It was a familiar emotion, one she had carried her entire life, the fear of uncertainty. Yet, in that moment it shifted into something more complicated, a mixture of pride and concern. Every instinct told her to reject this deviation from the norm. The meatloaf had been a symbol of their survival, a routine that provided comfort amidst chaos. Yet as she stared at the colorful dish before her, a flicker of curiosity ignited within. Perhaps this was not merely a departure but an opportunity. An opportunity to see her daughter not just as a child, but as an individual capable of carving her own path. "What did you use?" Mary asked, her voice softer, curious. "Tomato, basil, and a hint of garlic," Lily replied, her eyes lighting up. "And the pasta is homemade. I learned to make it while watching some cooking shows." The admission twirled through the air, a revelation that brightened the dim kitchen. The realization hit Mary like a wave. Crashing against her defenses, Lily was blossoming into a person with passions, hidden talents emerging from the shadows of their routine life. But what if her daughter's talents led them to an unpredictable future? Where would that leave Mary's fears, her ambitions, her sacrifices? Every heartbeat became louder as a whirlpool of doubt and hope swirled within her. What if accepting this meant surrendering control? Could she trust Lily to inspire transformation where she had only seen stagnation? "I appreciate the effort," Mary said slowly, her voice measured, but a small part of her bristled at the thought of change. "But you know how things are. This is familiar." Is it familiar or just safe? The question hung heavy, suspended in the air like candy floss, tempting yet uncertain. Mary's mind raced, grappling with the truth. It wasn't merely about food for her. It was about the dreams she had shelved long ago. She had been so focused on shielding Lily from their past hardships that she had neglected to nurture her daughter's aspirations. Perhaps it wasn't just Lily who needed growth. She reluctantly ventured a bite of the pasta. A wave of flavors burst onto her palate, grounding the swirling chaos. It was exhilarating, overwhelming, unlike anything she had ever tasted. "Lily," she managed to say, surprised at the warmth blooming inside her heart. "This is amazing." Lily's face illuminated, her eyes glistening with the reflectivity of unworked dreams and the unlikeliness of hope. Yet as the unexpected camaraderie wrapped them in a tentative embrace, uncertainty still lingered. What happened next would mean stepping into the unknown together. Mary's mind raced with mixed emotions, anxious yet exhilarated. "Can we keep doing this?" Lily ventured, bravely poking the air with her question, as they stood on the brink of necessary change. Mary hesitated, glancing anew at the table before them, a new beginning, laden with risk and potential. With one small decision, their lives could pivot forever. The silence stretched, and Mary realized that the real issue lay not just in food or tradition but in fear. Would she choose to brave the uncertainty alongside her daughter or hold steadfast to the crumbling remnants of the past? Before she could articulate an answer, there was a knock at the door, a sound that echoed like a warning bell, heralding an unexpected visitor. In that instant, Mary felt the ground shift beneath her. What might come next was not just change. It could also be confrontation. Would they be able to face it together? Mary's heart raced at the unexpected knock. It shattered the fragile moment, a stark reminder of the external chaos that always seemed to intrude on their tenuous peace. She exchanged a glance with Lily, who wore a mask of curiosity shrouded in concern. "Do you think we should answer?" Lily whispered, her voice barely above a murmur. Mary hesitated, torn between the desire to embrace this new chapter with her daughter and the nagging dread of what lay beyond that door. She sighed, feeling the weight of motherhood and the fear of the unknown pressed down firmly on her shoulders. "Let us see who it is," she said, striving for steadiness. With a deep breath, Mary approached the door. As she opened it, the bright afternoon light flooded in, revealing an old friend from her past, Sarah. A vibrant, steady presence she hadn't seen in years. The years had etched lines of experience into Sarah's face, but there was a spark of energy that almost felt infectious. "Mary, it's been too long," Sarah exclaimed, stepping in without waiting for an invitation. Her eyes scanned the cozy kitchen, then landed on the mess of flour and tomato sauce littering the counter. Lily, caught in a swirl of surprise and delight, stood frozen. "Hi, Sarah," she greeted, her voice catching at the edges. Mary's heart tightened. The serendipity of the moment was bittersweet. Sarah represented everything that Mary had tucked away, all the dreams of a vibrant life she had abandoned to safeguard a future for Lily. Uninvited, Emotions washed over her. Familiarity mingled with the unfamiliar terrain of her daughter's burgeoning independence. "I heard you were cooking up something fabulous," Sarah said, grinning deviously. "I knew I had to peek in. I brought something." She pulled a small container from her bag. "My famous cheese bread to go with your dinner." Mary's instinct was to decline, to shield this moment of transformation between herself and Lily from the scrutiny of an outside world. But as she watched Sarah interact with her daughter, a sense of nostalgia penetrated her resistance. Now, as her niece of the past held a mirror to the promise of the future, she felt a flicker of desire to reconnect, to unlock what had been shut away. With an absent nod, she let Sarah contribute her dish to the feast, which felt increasingly expansive. More than a meal but the embodiment of shared connection, a moment where past comforts and potential futures intertwined. "Lily made this," Mary acknowledged, gesturing toward the pasta. "She made it from scratch and it's wonderful." "Really?" Sarah looked at Lily, her eyebrows lifting in genuine interest. "That's impressive. You learned to cook all on your own?" Lily's cheeks flushed with pride as she nodded. "Yeah, I've been watching some shows and tried to learn." Mary could see the rapid beat of excitement in her daughter's eyes, a fresh light that invigorated the dim corners of the kitchen. Yet a flicker of fear whispered through her mind. Was she exposing Lily to a world that could be stifling? This was a risk, a leap, not just for her daughter but for herself. "Do you remember our old cooking adventures?" Sarah asked, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "We made that mess in your kitchen, and your dad almost had a heart attack watching us." Mary chuckled, the laughter feeling partly foreign yet wholly liberating. Laughter blended with nostalgia, enticing her to hold on to this moment, obscuring the imminence of confrontation over their shared past, and fears about what lay ahead. As laughter spilled over the kitchen like the aromas wafting from their plates, Mary came to a realization. For too long, she had anchored herself in unbecoming familiarity, fearing possibilities. Perhaps this visit was not accidental but rather heralding an unexpected collaboration between her past and future. Maybe this is the moment more than just dinner, she thought, feeling a flicker of determination weld itself within her. Could she honor the flavor of Lily's new passions while integrating the joys of her own past? Just then, a loud crash from the living room jerked her from her musings, echoing through the house like a clarion call. The revelation loomed. Change was clashing with their comfort zones rapidly. What had started as a familial meal was now morphing into something unpredictable. Mary caught Lily's eye, and without exchanging words, they both sensed it. A vital confrontation was on the brink. What would they uncover next amidst this unexpected chaos? Mary's heart dropped as she turned her body towards the sound, dread settling in her chest like lead. The crash echoed again, a chaotic symphony that stirred up shadows of her anxiety. It could be anything: a toppled vase, a broken gadget, even worse. But as she took a single step toward the living room, a strange determination ignited within her. She was tired of tiptoeing around potential disasters, tired of living only for safety. "Stay here," she instructed Lily and Sarah, her voice firm but calm. Both looked startled, as though Mary had lifted a veil of complacency that hung between them. With hesitant steps, Mary moved toward the source of the disturbance. She could feel the urge to stall, to turn back and focus on mixing sauces and tossing salads, but a deeper impulse drew her forward. She needed to confront whatever chaos lay ahead, to face the truth that seemed ever present yet elusive. Reaching the living room, she found the coffee table flipped, a jumbled mess of magazines scattered like fallen leaves. Her old ceramic mug lay shattered on the floor, a fragment of her past breaking beneath her feet. A surge of frustration coursed through her veins. This was not just a simple accident. It was a visible manifestation of her internal chaos, the unpredictability she had avoided for too long. "Lily!" Mary's voice cracked like a whip, laced with a mixture of anger and uncertainty. She struggled to contain the bitterness swelling. "Was that you?" Lily rushed in behind her, eyes wide with a mix of vulnerability and defiance. It was as if her daughter was wrestling with something deeper than just fear of punishment, the fermenting desire to transcend Mary's carefully constructed boundaries. "I was trying to move the table to make more space. I thought we could play cards or something," she sputtered, defensive yet earnest. Mary blinked, struggling to breathe through the whirlwind of emotions swelling within her. The instinct to protect and the urge to break free collided again inside her mind. Maybe we can play cards, she said, not fully understanding her own words. In that moment she caught a glimpse of the girl Lily was becoming: brave, determined, willing to assert herself. It served as both a reflection and a challenge to Mary. She could either cling to the comfort of small chaos, or embrace the transformational potential that stemmed from it. "Lily, I'm sorry about the mug," Mary uttered, unexpected tenderness threading her voice. It was an easy excuse to cover vulnerability, but Lily deserved better. "Just let me know next time before moving things around, okay?" "Okay," murmured Lily, her defiance flickering to uncertainty. Yet in her mother's softening demeanor, something was shifting, the air thick with tension and potential discovery. Returning to the kitchen, Mary found Sarah leaning against the countertop, her smile a bridge to the past, a past recognized amidst the chaos. "You handled that well," Sarah remarked, admiration dancing in her eyes. The approval felt like a pin to an inflated balloon of self-doubt. "Thanks," Mary replied, trying to gauge the authenticity behind her words. It groped for meaning beyond simple pleasantries. This acknowledgement inspired introspection about her emerging role as both a mother and an individual. The thought wrapped around her like a comforting shawl. Perhaps she could craft new rhythms in their lives, allowing the twists and turns to manifest growth rather than panic. "Let us make it an event," Mary finally said, her voice gaining strength. "Let us turn this dinner into a family tradition. Cooking together, trying new recipes, maybe even slipping in some games." Lily's face brightened, and Mary felt invigorated by this newfound direction that seemed to spring from the evening's upheaval. She was inviting chaos to dance, no longer fearing it, but channeling it into a creative transformation of family time. As the dinner preparations resumed, laughter bubbled back into their kitchen sanctuary, but it was different now, more robust, more authentic. Yet amidst the joy, an undercurrent of unknown lingered. A steely reminder of pending confrontations still looming on the horizon. And just as Mary began to feel pulled back into the warmth of her family, another crash resonated through the house, shaking the ground beneath her new revelations. Each uncertainty morphed into a chilling promise, not of fear but discovery. What awaited them in the depths of that noise? Would they continue to emerge stronger? Or would old fears threaten to overwhelm the fragile foundations they were scrambling to build? The crash reverberated through the house again, and this time, it wasn't merely about a broken mug or overturned furniture. It echoed through the layers of Mary's consciousness, swirling and colliding with the new resolve she had just begun to embrace. The noise was raw and chaotic, a summons to confront her deeper fears and uncertainties, not just about the physical mess in the living room, but about the emotional clutter in her life. Feeling the heat of adrenaline pooling in her chest, Mary glanced at Lily and Sarah. They both mirrored her apprehension, standing on the precipice of a moment neither could fully grasp. A part of her desired to rush into the source of the disturbance, to assert control over the ever-present unpredictability. But a more profound desire lingered, the urge to step back and embrace the mystery of what it would reveal. "Let us check it out together," Mary said, her voice trembling but firm. This was not just about responding to chaos. This was about facing it as a family. As they moved into the next room, Mary's mind whirled with possibilities. Maybe confronting this recurring pattern of chaos could lead to revelations that would redefine their relationships, perhaps illuminating undiscovered strengths within her and the girls. The three of them entered the den, where the sound had originated, and found the bookshelf askew, a cascade of books sprawling out like spilled paint on a canvas. A chilling mixture of dread and intrigue unfurled within her. This kind of disorder was outside her comfort zone. Yet she felt a rush of excitement at the thought of unearthing layers of their family dynamic. "Who did this?" Lily whispered, anxiety creeping into her voice. Mary's response caught in her throat. She could feel the familiar spark of defensiveness creeping back in, that old urge to blame and dictate. But a new thought began to crystallize. What if this disruption was a call to adventure? An undaunted challenge to embrace the imperfections life threw their way. "I did," Mary finally admitted, surprising even herself. "I asked you both to take a risk in this kitchen. I wanted us to blend together, but right now," she gestured toward the chaos around her, "it's all a bit more complicated than I expected." Lily's eyes widened. For once, the daughter wasn't rebuking a perceived mistake. Instead, her focus shifted back to Mary with a flicker of curiosity. as if she saw something newly unfolding within her mother. Mom, maybe this mess is part of the plan. We can find a way to make something beautiful out of it. Her voice carried an unexpected weight. Mary's heart swelled. It dawned on her that in the act of admitting blame, she had inadvertently empowered Lily to consider how chaos could morph into creativity. Let us sort through this mess together. It's an opportunity to reflect on what matters and what we want to create out of this evening. In the midst of their battle with scattered pages and misaligned spines, laughter erupted as they fumbled through the detritus, discovering forgotten novels and treasures tucked away, photos, letters, memories intertwined with growth and change. As they began picking the pieces up, Mary marveled at how liberating it felt to shift focus from panic to possibility. Every book they pulled from the pile was like a stepping stone toward vulnerability. Laughter intertwined with the recollection of past mishaps, the family's banter lifting her heart and fueling her energy. But as Mary began to feel the cohesiveness of their connection, a looming anxiety twinged in her gut. What if this momentary victory could be overshadowed by a more daunting challenge? Just then her phone buzzed unexpectedly, pulling her back to reality. The screen lit up with a message from her estranged sister, someone whose presence in her life she had meticulously pushed to the periphery. We need to talk. The shift in atmosphere was palpable. What awaited her in this long-dormant relationship? Would her fledgling attempts at embracing chaos be shattered by the complexities she had sought to escape? The very foundation of her newfound confidence felt as if it was trembling beneath her feet. Would confronting her past forge a stronger future for her family? Or would it serve as a catalyst for turmoil? And as the air thickened with unanswered questions, Mary could do nothing but brace for the storm that was about to break. Mary stared at her phone, the message from her sister blinking like a siren in the night. The laughter and warmth of the moment they had just shared felt like fragile glass in her hands, vulnerable to shattering with a single wrong move. She took a deep breath, attempting to center herself, but the anxiety knotted tighter in her stomach. Mom, is everything okay? Sarah's voice pulled her from the storm brewing within. The light in the room seemed to dim, her daughter's faces now shadowed with uncertainty. Yeah, it's just a message from Aunt Karen, she replied, her voice wavering. How could she explain years of estrangement in a single sentence? She dismissed the thought, feeling the weight of it press against her chest. The last thing she wanted was to burden her daughters with her unresolved familial conflicts. Do you want to talk about it? Lily asked, her tone more direct. Mary's instincts urged her to shield them from her difficulties, but wasn't this what she was learning? To confront chaos and to be honest? It's complicated, she said at last, glancing back at the mess of books and papers scattered about. Karen and I haven't spoken in a long time. I don't know what she wants now. I mean, couldn't this be an opportunity? Sarah suggested, crossing her arms. Maybe you could connect? The insight struck Mary with the force of a revelation. Just as they had taken the disarray of the living room and transformed it into a moment of bonding, perhaps this was a chance to recreate an entirely different relationship too. Yet deep within, doubt crept in, whispering about past failures and broken promises. Mom, you've already taken this huge step by involving us in a family project. Lily chimed in, her enthusiasm unfaltering. What's stopping you from reaching out? You can face it together. Mary looked at her daughters, their expressions earnest and full of belief. They were no longer just children waiting for instruction. They were partners in this journey of unpredictability, every moment imbued with potential. You're right. Facing chaos seems to be my new thing, she mused. With each realization, the chokehold of fear loosened. They had tackled the disarray in the den and managed to mold it into a picture of resilience. Could she transform her relationship with Karen in the same manner? I'm going to respond to her, Mary declared, an inexplicable sense of determination tightening her resolve. Sarah nodded approvingly. Lily grinned. The collective commitment to the possibility began to illuminate the space around them, breathing life into possibilities anew. As Mary began typing a response, her fingers hovered over the screen. This was not merely a message. It was a plunge into the emotional depths of her past, one that frightened and empowered her simultaneously. What if this was a moment where she could redefine the narrative? After years of distance, of retreating, could she rewrite her history with a fresh perspective? She pressed send, her heart racing, eyes wide at the decision she'd just made. Suddenly, a giggle pierced the air, pulling her back into the present. Sarah held up a book, its spine cracked and faded. "Look what I found. Remember this?" It was a cherished family storytelling book, one they read together at bedtime. "Perfect," Mary said, her heart warming. "Let us read through it together later." With each book lifted, with each memory they shared, she ventured deeper into the essence of her family. The walls built from emotional detachment began to feel less imposing. But even as they immersed themselves in this fragility of connection, the uncertainty of her sister's response gnawed at her consciousness. What would Karen say? Would this spark a healing or merely rehash old wounds? Mary prepared herself, bracing for either outcome, the thought both exhilarating and petrifying. As she meticulously arranged books back on the shelf, she knew she was not just organizing a physical space. She was crafting pathways for deeper connections, both with her daughters and perhaps soon with Karen too, with the weight of potential reconciliation resting on her shoulders. She turned to her daughters, feeling emboldened. "No matter what happens next, we'll face it as a family. Together." The room fell silent for a heartbeat, the promise echoing into the corners of their hearts. But then, as they settled back into laughter, another message pinged on Mary's phone. Her breath hitched involuntarily. This one was from Karen. "I'm coming over. We need to talk." As the air thickened with tension again, Mary realized that the real challenge was just beginning. Would she open the door to confrontation or clothe herself in closure? The moment of truth beckoned, and Mary felt the pull of destiny unravel before her. Mary's heart hammered against her chest as she reread the message. "I'm coming over. We need to talk." The gravity of Karen's words sent unfamiliar sensations crawling through her: anticipation, fear, and an undercurrent of resolve. The walls of her home felt like both sanctuary and prison, drawing her inward even while the outside world beckoned. "Mom, are you okay?" Sarah's voice sliced through her swirling thoughts. She glanced at her daughters, both watching her with concern etched across their young faces. They had just taken a significant step in their familial relationship, shedding light on their experiences, and now it was Mary's turn to step into the unknown. I will be," she replied, her voice steadier than she felt. "I'm just preparing myself for what may come." Emotional turmoil surged within her, yet at the same time she recognized something transformative in her daughter's encouragement. They inspired courage in her, just as she had aimed to inspire them. Taking a deep breath, she focused on her next moves. "Come on, let us finish cleaning up before Aunt Karen gets here," she urged them, longing to channel the energy brewing inside her. They worked quickly, the laughter echoing off the walls, filling the spaces with an unexpected lightness. Every once in a while, Mary's mind would drift to hypothetical outcomes of Karen's visit. Memories of their last conversation, a heated exchange that ended with hurtful silence, threatened to surface and shatter her newly kindled hope. But then she recalled her commitment to confronting chaos and embraced her daughters as partners in this endeavor. Once the room was tidy, Mary's mind raced with thoughts of how to prepare for Karen's arrival. What should she say? Would anger flare silently between them? Yet, another part of her pondered the intimacy of familial ties, how growth stemmed from discomfort. She made her way to the kitchen to prepare a simple spread for them to share. Slicing through vegetables, the rhythm of the knife against the cutting board became meditative, allowing her to free herself from paralyzing anxiety and start shifting her focus toward the dialogue that lay ahead. "Can I help?" Lily's soft voice interrupted her thoughts, and she looked up to meet her daughter's eager expression. "I like making snacks. Of course. Let us make something we all enjoy." Together, they gathered ingredients, Mary grateful for the distraction and support. As they worked, Lily began chatting about school, moments of triumph and frustrations that colored her day. It was refreshing. In a way, Lily served as a bridge to the present, pulling Mary out of her spiraling thoughts about her sister. After a while, Sarah joined in with games and stories of her own. The air between them crackled with energy, laughter blooming like flowers in spring. But then, just as the tranquility settled momentarily, Mary's phone chimed again. It was a notification from Karen. "I'll be there in 15 minutes. The walls expanded and contracted around her at the sound of it, a tangible reminder of the impending confrontation. Mary's thoughts spiraled. What if this encounter magnified years of unspoken resentment rather than ushering in harmony? How could she prepare her heart to embrace tenderness despite the underlying tension? Just as the clattering of the cutlery echoed in her mind, she caught a glimpse of her daughter's anticipation mixed with concern. This was a pivotal event not just for her, but for them too. They were stepping into the chaos together. With renewed clarity, she realized that her intent was to foster understanding. No matter how Karen arrived angry, regretful, defensive, the most significant thing was how she would respond. The fear of conflict was part of her journey. Facing it head-on could unravel new understandings and deepen the bonds that had long been frayed. Girls, whatever happens, stay close to me. Remember, we're a team. They nodded, determination shimmering in their eyes. As the clock ticked down the minutes, anticipation transformed into a powerful resolve. Mary felt ready to confront not just her sister but herself, her fears, and the wounds that time had yet to heal. As the doorbell rang, her heart danced along that precipice of hope and dread. With one last encouraging glance at her daughters, she inhaled deeply and opened the door, stepping into the unknown. What if this is a chance not just for resolution but for something deeper? She posed silently to herself just before greeting Karen. That thought lingered in the air like a fragile promise, waiting to unfold. The door creaked open, and Mary found herself face to face with Karen, whose expression was a mixture of determination and vulnerability. The wind picked up a leaf from the garden, twisting it away as if sensing the charged atmosphere surrounding their encounter. Mary stepped aside, allowing her sister into the entryway, and fought the instinct to retreat. "Let us sit down," Mary suggested, her voice barely above a whisper but edged with authority. She needed to lay the groundwork for sincerity and openness. With her daughters momentarily retreated to the kitchen, she sensed that it was her moment to hold space for the truth to unfold. Karen took a few tentative steps into the living room, her gaze scanning the familiar surroundings that felt foreign now. "Thanks for inviting me. I didn't want to just spring this on you," she began, her tone laced with unease. Mary gestured toward the couch. "Why don't we start with what's on your mind?" There it was, the straightforward prompt she hoped would encourage Karen to verbalize the walls between them. Karen hesitated, then sat, her hands clasped tightly. "I know we've had our issues." She took a deep breath, her blue eyes narrowing as if concentrating on each word. "I've been thinking a lot about our last fight and how I might have hurt you." Mary felt a flicker of surprise mixed with relief. Acknowledgement, no matter how raw, could be the bridge toward healing. "We both said things we didn't mean. I want us to understand each other better," she replied, drawing on the resolve she had conjured moments before. It was astonishing how the potential for reconciliation seemed palpable in the air, yet it shimmered with uncertainty. "I didn't realize how dismissive I could be. I thought I was being supportive," Karen continued, her voice quavering slightly. "You were right to call me out on that. I'm trying to be more aware of how I interact with you." The delicate warmth in Karen's words struck Mary profoundly, reminding her of the layered complexity that cloaked their relationship. Was her sister finally grappling with her responsibilities? Could she let go of long-buried resentments to embrace a new chapter? "Let us break this down then," Mary proposed, steeling herself against the rush of emotions threatening to surface. "What makes you feel like you were being supportive? And why did it feel dismissive to me?" Their dialogue evolved naturally, slipping into a rhythm that flowed back and forth like the gentle tide. As each sister shared pieces of their experiences, Mary found herself shedding emotional weights she didn't realize she bore. The fears, the misunderstandings, they were mere obstacles, easily navigated when stripped of the past. But the comfort was shattered abruptly as Lily snuck tentatively into the room, tray in hand. "I made tea for everyone." Her bright smile illuminated the heavy air, drawing the attention of both women. The innocence of her interjection abruptly reminded Mary of how deeply intertwined this conversation was with her family's foundation. "I thought we could have a cozy chat," Lily said, oblivious to the emotional intensity of the moment. The innocent enthusiasm in her voice spiraled into the uncharted territories of Mary's heart, awakening something essential but buried. This wasn't merely about her and Karen. It was about creating an environment where her daughters could witness live what it meant to confront challenges openly. "Perfect timing, Lily," Karen said with a grateful smile, her mask of tension softening, if only for a moment. "You have a knack for bringing people together." Mary's chest tightened at the comment. She realized that this moment could either transform into a bonding experience or retreat into yet another conflict. The power was in her hands. Could she maintain this newfound unity forged by her daughter's simple act? I think it's essential for us to embrace these moments wholeheartedly, Mary said, her voice bearing the weight of realization. We can't heal in silence. An unspoken agreement lingered in the air, one that suggested there was still much to uncover between them. She caught Karen's gaze, both women poised on the brink of deeper revelation. But deep down an unsettling thought clawed at Mary. What if the past wasn't so easily buried? As the sound of footsteps echoed from the kitchen, carrying her daughter's laughter, Mary felt the challenge crystallizing. This was more than just a talk. It was a confrontation with her family's history, fraught with both pain and potential. Are we ready for what else might come out tonight? She posed silently, a complex tangle of fear and determination coiling within her chest. The journey ahead had mere beginnings here, a venture that would carve paths through raw truths, and perhaps rekindle bonds all but lost. With Lily's tea steaming between them, Mary took a breath, ready to dive deeper into the layers that bound them, even as the shadows of history threatened to resurface. Would they be able to rise above? Only time would tell. Mary took a steadying breath as she sat back on the couch, her attention now divided between her sister's hopeful eyes and the vibrant energy of her daughters just beyond the kitchen doorway. The steaming tea was more than just a simple treat. It was a tangible reminder of their roles as a family and the warmth they needed to cultivate. Let us pour some tea and then see how we can take this conversation deeper, Mary suggested. It felt like a way to anchor the energy, to savor the moment before delving back into the past's shadows. As Lily bounded over with the tray, her enthusiasm intensifying the atmosphere, Mary felt a flicker of courage surge through her. This was not merely a discussion about grievances. It was about carving out a new dynamic. As each of them took a cup, the warmth spread through their hands, and the scent of chamomile mingled with the tension in the room. For a brief moment, Mary let herself succumb to the comfort of familial dialogue. But as Lily settled down, the realities of confronting the past loomed larger than ever. She could feel an unrelenting need rising within her, a desire to address not just the history, but also the silent struggles lurking beneath the surface. Karen, Mary said, her tone now more resolute, you mentioned being dismissive and wanting to be more aware. How do you see that playing out in our relationship? What does it look like to you? This inquiry hung in the air like an invitation to both vulnerability and self-reflection. Karen's eyes darted away briefly, the discomfort of introspection evident. Yet Mary saw how this moment challenged her sister to embrace a level of honesty they hadn't shared before. I guess, Karen began, her voice trembling slightly, I thought I understood you well enough to support you without really asking what you needed. I was so focused on helping I didn't see the bigger picture. The extent of your struggle. She hesitated, swallowing hard as the weight of her admission settled like stones in the pit of her stomach. I was just afraid of being inadequate. Mary felt the silence stretch into a more profound space. This admission was a turning point, revealing the deep-rooted insecurities that had long fueled their conflicts. The bracing honesty washed over Mary, stirring a painful empathy within her. Had she unknowingly let her own fears blur her perspective, making her mistrustful of Karen's intentions? Fear of inadequacy can distort our perceptions, Mary mused, reflecting on her own inadequacies. I often felt like I had to be the strong one, hiding my struggles to protect us all. But that doesn't bring us closer, it just builds walls. The essence of their exploration began to shift. The tension morphed from a chasm between them into a shared burden they both had carried. Mary ventured deeper, probing the roots. What do you think has kept us from being honest about this? Why have we let it fester? Karen looked down at her cup, as if it held the keys to their unspoken history. Pride, maybe. The fear of being seen as weak. There's so much we couldn't say, Mary finished for her, the truth slicing through the chaos. The weight of those unsaid words hung heavy in the air. Lily shifted restlessly, sensing the heavy shift of atmosphere, and Mary tenderly reached to caress her daughter's hand. How was she maneuvering this labyrinth of vulnerability, while also nurturing the innocence of her children? The stakes felt impossibly high. Yet the urge for growth countered the fear of failure. I didn't want you to see me as anything but the strong sister, Karen replied. Her voice thickened with unshed emotion. But I'm learning that being weak doesn't mean I can't heal together. Mary nodded, inspired by her sister's journey toward revelation. This was about peeling back layers that had hidden their true selves from one another. The recognition of common fears presented them with new possibilities, connecting them at a much deeper level as their conversation continued to probe into uncomfortable territories. A question flickered in the back of Mary's mind. Now that they were uncovering these profound truths, could they formulate a plan that transformed this acknowledgement into actionable steps forward? The warmth of Lily's laughter momentarily distracted Mary from her thoughts. Yet, she couldn't shake off how much was unraveling, each layer leading them closer to a weakened bond that could yet resurge anew. But when Lily asked, "Do you think we'll always have family fights?" Mary felt a sudden chill run down her spine. The unguarded innocence of her child's query encapsulated everything they faced. Could they truly navigate this turbulent terrain without becoming ensnared in their past? How we respond from here, Mary thought with mounting urgency. How we choose to heal functions not just for us but for the girls. That could redefine everything. Taking a deep breath, Mary looked back at Karen, determination sparkling in her eyes. "I think we need a plan, a commitment to keep communicating, to openly express our struggles not just for us, but for our daughters too." Would they have the courage to carve a new path, or would fear obscure the way? The air thickened with anticipation, and Mary felt the spotlight of her family's future resting heavy on her shoulders. Would they be able to forge a new understanding that would resonate within their home, and through their lives as mother and daughters? This was just the beginning, but uncertainty hung palpably around them, begging the question. What truths were still waiting to be revealed? The moment Mary invited her sister into her home, she knew she was inviting change. Each word exchanged between them unfolded layers of unsaid truths and raw emotions. As the conversation shifted, Mary felt herself grappling with not only her sister's hesitations but also her own willingness to confront the past and redefine familial connections. The laughter of her daughters echoed from the kitchen, a reminder of the life and joy they had cultivated despite past conflicts. But Mary was acutely aware that this moment was pivotal not just for her and Karen, but for the entire makeup of their family. Her daughters' innocence seemed at odds with their deep-seated complexities, a juxtaposition that tugged at Mary's heartstrings. "We need to show them what healing looks like," she thought, determination swelling. "What do you think could help us move forward?" Mary asked, her voice steady but inviting. This simple question hung in the air, charged with potential. It urged Karen to delve deeper, revealing the vulnerabilities they both shared. Through the cracks of their conversation, an unexpected bond began to form, illuminated by the candor and commitment evident in both their eyes. "Maybe we could start with honesty," Karen suggested softly, the weight of her words settling between them. "I want to understand what you need from me, and you can tell me when I don't get it right." The acknowledgement felt refreshing, a foundation for rebuilding trust. Mary nodded, grateful for the sincerity. "I need to learn to communicate my struggles too," Mary replied, sincerity pooling in her heart. "For so long I prioritized being the strong one that I neglected my own truth. But I want to be transparent with you, for the sake of my daughters." With each revelation, the air thickened not with tension, but with purpose. Lily entered the room, her eyes bright with familial eagerness. "Can we play a game now?" she asked, oblivious to the depth of conversation just shared. Mary couldn't help but smile at her daughter's innocence. "Maybe after tea we can share more stories, our own experiences, the good and the embarrassing ones." This was the intersection between the past and the future, a new dynamic dawning over them as the kettle soon boiled. Mary poured tea into delicate cups, the steam swirling up like possibilities rising out of turmoil. "Let us toast to new beginnings," she suggested, lifting her cup toward both women. They joined her, mirroring the sentiment with their own cups raised, laughter bubbling for the first time that night. "Thank you for this," Karen said, sincerity radiating from her tone. "I think we're stronger than we give ourselves credit for. The challenges faced in the past don't define our future." Mary echoed her sister's belief, buoyed by the courage that seemed to thrum through the air. It was a commitment to transparency, to owning their relational complexities while paving a path forward. Mary looked around at the faces of her children and her sister, a fulfillment stirring deep within. "We'll face this journey together," she affirmed, confidence rising through her. With every conversation, Every moment shared, she gestured to the kitchen where her daughters resumed their laughter. We reshaped the essence of family. They spent the following hours sharing stories of laughter, challenges, and resilience. With each tale, Mary marveled at the new rhythms emerging. Each narrative invited acknowledgement, viewing past hurts not with bitterness, but understanding. Moments of silence brought forth reflections. The fragile bonds they shared slowly metamorphosed into something stronger, more authentic. As the night drew to a close, Mary felt a solid confidence bloom inside her, a recognition that she no longer had to carry fears alone. She had faced her past with fortitude, emerging not only as a protective mother but also as an empowered individual, willing to embrace vulnerability. With quiet resolution, she realized this evening had shifted more than the dynamics of their family. It paved the way for new achievements, an established position rooted in honesty and collaboration. Their kitchen, once filled with tension, now transformed into a sanctuary of open communication and connection. As they gathered around the table for a final slice of Sarah's cheese bread, a beautiful harmony enveloped them, promising a future steeped in shared experiences. As the laughter resonated within the walls, Mary's heart swelled with pride, a mother's dream realized through courage and authenticity. She was no longer afraid to embrace chaos, but instead, she welcomed it as a catalyst for growth. Mary had not just navigated a realm of uncertainty, she had conquered it, emerging on the other side, proudly attuned to the strength of her family. This was her moment. You need to subscribe now to ensure you don't miss out on the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment with your thoughts and theories about Mary's journey. Share instantly this video with 5 friends who need to experience this powerful conclusion. Don't wait even one more second. Join the movement of inspired storytellers today.